everyone. TSibs back with you. The season is about to start tomorrow night. Season 29. Feels like 28 just ended. We brought you the finals a few weeks back, but we are back at it again with the weekly show here off the ice, and it is myself, TSibs, along with Dirty Dietrich, Pliskin, Reap, and Kozmo will be here shortly to join us on the preseason talk and what happened during the draft. That's all coming up tonight on the show. And we will be doing the show every Saturday night normally. And again, we've got games coming up tomorrow night, as of course everyone knows. Season about ready to start. And gentlemen, good to have you guys on the show this season. We've got a lot to talk about. I know on the draft special we talked a little bit about how teams made out in the draft. Let's just go over quickly, or at least some quick questions for all of you. We'll start off with Pliskin. How again you get into a summer season and you wonder how many guys are going to sign up, and still enough guys for 16 teams, and you always wonder, of course, with less players, what's the quality of talent going to be? What's the level of talent? Is it are there going to be enough decent players to round out every team? And it looks like things have wound up pretty good this season, and plenty of talented players on all the teams. Did you get the feeling that the talent pool was pretty good this season?
Summer is just a fictitious thought. We're gamers. We're not going to be out there at night. We can say we have plans. We like to do stuff, but we're here playing games every day. I don't think summer's going to have as big as an effect on us, considering how many people we had to begin with. But no, I mean, it's looking like we got the talent pool that we needed. It's very spread out this season. Time will tell, of course. But from looking at the roster straight off the draft, I think it's spread out pretty good.
And Jake, your first chance to run a team this season. What was it like? As far as doing this for the first time here in SP, did it work out the way you expected it to, or were there a few curveballs in there for your first time picking a team from the draft?
There were a few curveballs in there for my first time picking a team, but for the most part, we got everybody that we wanted, because we looked at a lot of guys who, in our eyes, were undervalued and weren't some of the bigger names in the league, but guys that we trusted. So we focused on them, and we got, I'd say, about a good 60 to 75% of the people that we wanted. And I'm very excited for the season, putting in availability. Everyone's been decent for it. Always you have some issues scheduling everybody, but like for a first week for a good preseason, it didn't throw too many curveballs at me, and I think I'm getting well adjusted, but it's still nerve-wracking. There's a lot of pressure placed on you, and you've got to kind of, play well and pick well under pressure. It's a completely different animal than being a player.
All right. Reap, what was your general impression of the draft this season? Did you see anything different than you've seen in past seasons, or pretty much the talent pool's there, the level of involvement by rookies was there? What was your takeaway leading up to the draft and then the draft itself?
Leading up to draft, we had a lot of rookies come in and play. I don't know if you want to get like the whole subject about them playing not to their full potential, but I noticed a lot of that guys from other leagues that I know how they can play, but then come rookie tournament they didn't play the way I know they can play. Going into the draft, I was happy. I took a gamble on some of my re-signs, not being able to re-sign them and hoping to get them back in the draft, and it worked out. But I was pretty happy with the way things went for me, so I can't really complain at all.
You kind of mentioned that, with redraft and with players returning, one of the things I have to ask you guys, and you're more experienced in this league than I am with drafts and with how each season pans out from one to the other, but again, a lot of players returning after last season. Does this make drafting any easier if you are so familiar with the veterans coming back, or you know, how does that work for you guys when you're trying to help pick a team? And I'll start with I'll go back to Reap again. How does that work? Do you feel like the familiarity of a lot of the same guys coming back helps out with making the draft any easier?
I think so. I think it helps out the league, number one, and number two, it helps out a lot of GMs decide, because certain players that come back, some you want, some you're kind of like, I'm not too sure about that guy. But it can also mess with your drafting too, because all of a sudden you're like, okay, this guy's back. Well, now you got to try and plan of, okay, well, where am I picking from?
Right.
Can I move up in this? Can I move up by trading maybe a player in a draft to get up to this guy, and hope to God you can get that guy who's returning? It's always nice to have returning vets, because it can also help out your team in a big way. But like I said, it's all about trying to get that pick and hope to God if that player's still there when he does come back, or she comes back into the league. A lot of GMs, when they see returning vets, they start licking their chops, because they really want to get that player, because they know what that player can do or bring to a team.
And Kozmo joins us now. The question, I'm not sure if you heard it, but a lot of the players coming back every season, a lot of the same players. Does that help with drafting for you?
It does. I heard what Reap was talking about, so I kind of figured that was the topic. It makes it easier because once you've been a GM for so many seasons, like Pliskin or Reap and I, and some of these other ones, we know past players, and like you saying, know what they're capable of. Whether they're good or bad, or what pick we can get with them. One of them obviously being Vezi that Reap took. He knew what he was capable of and made sure he got him first pick.
Right. And just in general, Pliskin, I'm assuming, if you got guys coming back playing all the time, that's always good for the league, because they're dedicated to the league. They want to be here. What's your take about guys coming back, about having a lot of the same players come back? Obviously, you want to get new players involved, but is that a positive thing for you to have a lot of the same veterans coming back?
It is on multiple levels. The camaraderie is one. Getting the core community. Everybody here, we know each other. We're generally good buddies with each other. We can get along, and seeing the same guys come back, it's always good. It's always, because you know what to expect. Basically how, if you enjoyed it before, you're going to enjoy it again, because it's the same setup. But new guys, of course, they're great, but they're complete wild cards. You have no idea what to expect from them.
Right.
So it's very refreshing to see tried and true people come back. The second is the cap. The more vets that we come back, the higher the team salaries are, the more options they can have. But yeah, no, generally speaking, it's good to see, see your boys come back type of deal.
When you said wild card, I think it was Charlie Kelly from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I wonder if he's cutting the brakes on some team this season.
It's an interesting analogy.
Have you ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I have actually.
Encourage everybody to watch all 3 seasons of it over the course of the next week. Or, well, not all 3, the first 3 seasons.
Okay, we will try and do that just for you.
Yeah, if you guys don't watch it by the next show, I want to raise to some sort of monetary compensation for my presence.
Yeah, we'll work on that. Maybe we'll get you a T-shirt if we get those made up.
Yes.
For you.
I watched Seinfeld the other day for you, Jake.
Did you?
Your Canadian Tire money's in the mail.
You.
How much? Is it enough to get me like a pop down there?
If I give you enough, yeah.
Sure.
Yes. All right. Excellent. I'm in. You have a deal.
Hey, one of the things that we talked a little bit about before we got on the air, and I know Jake, obviously you are a rookie GM in this league. There are 7 new GMs this season. Tread, Castles, yourself, Uber, Peacekeeper, Shady, and Scowls are all new GMs in the league this season.
It's a new era.
Well,
we're taking over.
It's and you know that's almost half the league. So, you know, Kozmo's been around for a long time, and I'll get to everybody on this one as well. But you know, a lot of these guys we've played with or against a lot of them in different leagues, including this one. Are there any of these new GMs that stand out to you that you think are going to do very well in their rookie season here?
Tread's going to kill everybody.
Tread, I think he'll do great. He knows a lot of players. He's been in the league for a while. He's hung out with Reap and I before the games, like before he started. And he took a team in VG this going into the season, like beforehand. So he has a little bit of that experience ahead of time. I think New Jersey, which I believe is Jake, right?
Nope.
Oh, all right. Well, New Jersey will do half decent. I think that'll be the other one. Whoever the GM of that one is.
No, that is him, obviously.
It's Ajax.
He does. Well, he might be running the team for you. And again, you know, these aren't guys who, you know, who are unfamiliar with the game. Reap, you know, obviously we've seen them play. And now they're getting an opportunity to step up and contribute in a much bigger way to the league. You know, I've seen guys like Scouts who've been involved in multiple leagues. You know, Tread. Anybody here of these rookie GMs that stands out to you?
Well, Tread, I think is going to have a good season. He's like Kozmo was saying, he's been in the league. I think it's his third or fourth season. I think it's the fourth though.
I think he started season 22.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He's been in it for a little bit, so he's gotten to know a lot of the players and what they can do, and he's played against a lot of the players and also played with. So for him to finally get a team, he drafted well. I think Uber will do all right. Uber's been in the league for a while, so he knows the ends. You know, he knows who's who and whatnot. I'm excited that there's like new rookie, like first ever GMs. It's nice to see new guys come in and see what they're going to do. Give everybody that chance to see if they're going to be able to either swim or sink, you know?
Absolutely. And again, a lot of rookie players as well from, you know, we talked a little bit about the showcases during the draft, but let's get more of an overall feel. I think everybody probably played in the draft in these rookie games, or at least had some input with them. Let's start with you, Jake. What did you see in the rookie games? What's the level of talent with new guys coming in? Do you feel like some of these guys can wind up being stars right away in this league?
I feel so. I think New York has a pretty good forward core from rookies from that game, but we're not going to talk too much about their performance in that game. A lot of emerging talent from those games, they're going to make a big splash this season. I think it's going to be us vets trying to cling on to the spotlight while the rookies come in and they start cleaning house. But no, like from that game, like you had great talent at forward, you had great talent at defense, and you had some decent talent in goalie as well. Obviously not as much depth as the latter two, or the former two, but still a good selection of rookies out there. And from what we've seen in that game, I think it's going to be a very promising season for a new core of players.
How about you, Kozmo? What did you see in those rookie games?
I only played in the very first day, and I saw a lot of
people.
How would you describe that? What did we see there, Reece?
Shenanigans?
It was one. We had one dude complaining about lag but couldn't provide picks. We had somebody else saying he was like some elite forward, and then we had another guy and he was just trash, or acting like he was trash, or whatever the case may be. That same guy who was a top left wing apparently also let in 8 goals on like 7 shots or something like that. So there was a lot of it was different compared to normal.
Plis, what obviously this is a chance for GMs to see new talent, but it kind of feels like this is also a sort of a test to see what kind of character some of these guys have. And a lot of talk, obviously, in the Discord chat. Whether or not guys, legitimately had lag issues or whatever.
Forward.
So, what do you see that as this also, these rookie showcases also a chance to see whether or not these guys are serious about playing in the league and whether or not they're really going to be dedicated the whole season?
Greatly. It's a great weeding tool. This season alone, I think I was able to get rid of about 12, 15 players that didn't even respond to my messaging.
Wow.
So that's at least 15 guys that nobody has to pick up later just to find out they aren't even playing. Then it weeds out the trolls for the extent. Like, it depends. Like, you can only guess so much. You can't just be like, oh, that guy's terrible, he must be trolling. You gotta have to really know they're trolling in order to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll give the GMs opportunity to see who is good, who the trolls are, what kind of headaches you're going to have to deal with, and potentially removing these people before it gets too far into the season. And
in the end, Reap, you're feeling just on these games. Is there enough of a benefit to keep them going every season?
I think so. I mean, I really do enjoy the rookie showcase because you do get actual legit people who want to show what they can do and they want to make teams. The biggest problem with the rookie showcase is that bringing people into the league is great. I mean, I'm all for it, but a lot of the time it's just, GMs or other players telling their buddies to sign up and we'll get you on the team. So a lot of these guys will come in expecting to get drafted, so they don't play the way they should in the rookie showcase, and then they're sitting on FA wondering why aren't they being picked up. And we had that a few seasons where some guys just they'd show up, do the rookie thing, but whenever you'd message them to try and get like a drop in with them just to test them out and everything else, they wouldn't answer you. And then about a week into the season, they're messaging you all of a sudden saying, "Hey, can I try out for your team?" Well, why didn't you before? Well, this so and so person told me not to because he was going to draft me. Oh, okay, well. They should still come out and play regardless of if their buddy's a GM, if their buddy is buddies with a GM, they still got to come out and play. But I like the rookie showcase because you do see a lot. You can tell the difference if somebody's actually trying to play or if they're just trying to get by without getting caught of trying to throw games.
Right.
That's just the biggest problem. I watched a few of them and I just shook my head saying, I know this guy from this league, or I know this guy from this league, and I know what he can do. So why is he diving across the ice? Why is he taking stupid penalties, or throwing the puck from one end to the ice to the other? It's just little stupid things like that. But I love the rookie thing because, like I said, it weeds out the guys that can't seem to keep it going. The dramatic part of it.
Right.
And it's a great spotlight, man. Like I said, we have a couple guys on our team that we probably would never have bothered looking at if it wasn't for the showcase.
Yeah,
so these guys, this is their opportunity, and they do make good use of it.
Yeah, and that's why I said some guys actually take the use and show what they can do, but other guys not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it benefits both ends, and I like that it actually benefits new guys. I mean, I think one of the things that we've run into in other leagues is, there may be some training camp type games, but this really gives people who may not, the training camp games are up to whether or not that GM wants to put you in that lineup that night. In that game, the rookie showcase gives everybody a chance, and I think the guys who legitimately want to play and play well, and don't care where they're playing, they get a benefit out of that. I'm glad the good guys who really want to make something with this league get a chance to show themselves.
I think Kozmo had the best one on his team though.
You think so?
Yeah, the French, English, Indian guy.
He was Italian, French, Spanish,
but couldn't speak French and didn't understand French.
What was his name?
He called him
Z Hicks. Yeah. Z Hicks was his name, but his name was Hernando, and he was an Italian, Indian, French, English guy. His
Is he on the
accent.
board?
That's confusing.
No, he was
Agency?
removed.
No,
He was removed. It was CJ Snipes under a different name.
Okay. There you go. Hey, listen, let's start talking about the teams now. We'll get into who did the best and who did the worst, or at least the best side. We'll talk about that. But let's talk about the two teams that were in the finals last season with the Senators and the Avalanche. First with the Sens, and obviously Kozmo has his own opinion on this, but I want to hear from the other guys first, and let's go with Jake first. Getting too slick on this team, kind of reloading a little bit with some of the same guys from last season, but getting somebody like that on the squad now. What do you think their chances are of getting back to the finals again this season?
Forwards, look the fuck out. Like, those guys have a heavily top-loaded line. Like, you got Ransom and Mark, who are unbelievable together. You throw in Too Slick with that, and they're going to probably have 3 of the top scorers in the Eastern Conference, I'd say. Mm. So starting off with a good defensive and re-sign is crucial as well, and they got Notorious, which is good. But they screwed up in goaltending by re-signing Kozmo. So they're off to a good start, and like building around, they have done quite well. Like especially picking up You Want to Be Me on defense as well. So I think they're going to do very well again this season. They might end up being, I'd say, top 2 in the conference, if not top 2 in the league.
Reep, do you like what the Sens did?
I do. He getting You Want to Be Me was a great pickup by Koz. He's a really good defense at I think he plays lefty, and he also plays forward too. So he's got that utility part aspect with him. Too Slick, I don't really know much. I didn't really play him a whole lot. I didn't really see him play too much. I just know that he played well in Colorado. And yeah, like I said, Cosmo's got some good firepower up front, but the defense I don't think is as good as it could be. Because like I said, You Want to Be is a good defenseman, but you need 2 guys that have that chem back there to work with one another, but their forward line is strong.
Ransom can also play defense, so going between those 2 could also help, seeing whatever one's better.
Yeah, having utility guys works for sure.
Hey, Plis, obviously you've been running this for a long time now. What's the success rate of a team trying to get back into the finals again the following season? What's it been like in SP over all these seasons? Has it been a relatively tough thing to do, or is it something that if you can hold on to a few players and there's enough good quality in this league, you have a good shot to get back there?
Generally speaking, it's not easy to do. Majority of teams, once they've had success, tend to flutter around the mid-range the next season. Mm-hmm. It's not impossible. We've had teams repeat, but it all comes down to the supporting cast of the other GMs. If they're willing to give you certain players, you're going to be able to do it. But if you got some smart GMs, they're not going to let you reassemble that team. So it's not always going to work, but it's not impossible.
All right, Kozmo, your turn. Let's be honest here, buddy. What do you think about your team? What do you think of your chances of getting back to the finals? Did we lose Kozmo?
No answer. He doesn't believe they have a chance. Fuck it. Next team. They're not going to make the finals. Let's talk about the...
Did we lose? I guess we lost Kozmo, huh? Well, he's still there, but he's not. We can't hear you, bud. So if you're trying to talk, let us know.
Kozmo, press your keybind. Keybind.
Well,
Spacebar.
We'll try and get back to him as soon as he's ready.
What do you think, TSibs? Do you think Ottawa's going to make it?
Yeah, look, I think the quality is there. You look at I loved Ransom. From what I saw in the playoffs and the finals, such a flexible player, plays well offense and defense, and quite honestly, you're not going to find too many guys like that. The other question I have is who is Giroux going to be, I'm assuming, his everyday goaltender, and how confident does he feel in giving him the bulk of the work, or is Kozmo going to take that? That would be the only thing I'd be questioning at this point. But yeah, you guys mentioned U1, Go Mark, obviously a solid forward. again, notorious. Muse, we've seen too. He's a good, solid player. Can play almost anything except for net. So I think this team is pretty solid. I know Ozip from other leagues as well. He is a pretty solid player who can play anywhere. So I think they have so much flexibility on this team that they have a really good shot of getting there. Now, I think there are so many other teams that have a lot of good talent. It's not so much whether or not they've got the talent, is whether or not they have enough to overcome all the other teams who I think most of them had pretty good drafts.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have Kozmo back. Do we have you back, bud?
Yeah, I'm restarting the computer, so I just joined on my phone.
There you go.
The computer decided to do an update and didn't let me know.
Hey, so the question is, how realistic do you think you have in getting back to the finals, getting back even to the semifinals? What, do you feel like you've done enough to do that?
I hope so. The goaltending was the one issue I had, because by the time we got to us, we started seeing all the top goalies go off the board, and it was like, all right, we need to take someone. And we were going to take, bring back Shadow, that went off the board. We were going to, maybe bring back like Kamikaze or something like that. That went off the board. So like all those went off the board. So we had to hurry up and take the next best on the board. And that happened to be Turtle's going to play goalie, is willing to play goalie for us. And then we have Drew, who's also obviously willing to play goalie for us. So, and then I guess me, if neither of them can show up. But no one wants me in net, so.
Hey, let's talk about the other team that was in the finals and the Avalanche. They've got Woy back, Sedin. Does the rest of the team give them a chance to return to the finals? For who they've added on this squad, to make a run again to the finals, Soko, you mentioned Kamikaze in net for them, so that's a nice have. They paid $4.5 for a left winger, and of course you still have Egg on this team as well. Do they have enough talent to get back there, or do you think they have less of a chance to get their reap than the Senators do?
I think the Senators have a better chance than Colorado do. Colorado, I don't. They're still a competitive team. Don't get me wrong, but they're not as strong as they have been in past seasons.
Why is one only playing 3 games for them this week?
I don't know.
Putting that guy in for at least 6.
That's probably availability.
But,
well, and I wonder how much that's going to play into this season. Again, I understand what Pliskin said about, whether or not the whole summer season thing is a reality. Is that something that really affects teams? But, this is also a time of the year where maybe people are going to be away for a little bit, and so it might affect some of these games. I think that might be the only question is, when are these guys available? Will they be available from now until the end of the season, or are they going to be away for a week here, a week there? I think that's the biggest hurdle that probably most teams have to deal with.
They already bit me in the ass this coming week.
Availability is going to be a huge one. That's going to come into effect. It's always bad in the summer, especially with LG going and then BG ending right now. It's going to be huge, but I think the top teams will be able to work with it, but figure it out or work through it. It's a matter of whether or not you can get through it and not lose your mind.
Yeah, and plus, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's going to be a long season too.
How many weeks is this season?
7.
You're killing me here.
Hey, and the flexibility of being able to use players in this league, Pliskin, is that one of the reasons why you have it set up the way you do, so that the GMs aren't handcuffed so much?
Yeah, I try to give it freedom to both the GM and the player. Yeah, try to protect both of them, both their interests and whatnot. But yeah, if a player is willing to play, you shouldn't be restricted by a position as long as they didn't refuse it. And if they refuse it, that's to protect the player. If they don't ever want to play it, they should never have to play it.
So we think Colorado has, if you had to put a percentage on it, Reap, what would you say Colorado has a chance of getting back to the finals?
I'd say about 60%.
Jesus, how good of a chance does Ottawa have then?
I'd say a good 70 to 80, at least 80, close to 80, 90. They got a good team and they got good forwards. The only thing that I look at with Ottawa is their goaltending. I don't think is very strong. And no offense, Cos, but I mean you are a decent goalie, but you do get caught with some of these crazy shots. And Giroux's okay. I just think goaltending will be the question mark, and the defense, I don't know. It's all about chem. I don't know how it's gonna work, but I still think they're gonna put up goals. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the forecheck and the defense. And the goaltending, I don't know how it's going to be with them.
Now,
no offense taken there.
And let's start talking about some of the other teams. And I'll throw this out first, just because it's a team that I'm looking at all the teams, and this team kind of stuck out a little bit to me, just because I kind of like what they were able to do. And I want you guys to maybe, tell me a team that you think could be very interesting to watch, could be a team that could really cause some problems. I'm looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I see Rancher go to this team for 6.5. Again, really hot goaltender last season, did incredibly well in the playoffs, obviously, and just had a ton of success. I think you start from there, and then you wind up, working forward with some of the defensemen, with Louis Deuce, King, who I like as well. God's plan. I think from there you start pretty well defensively, and then another guy that I think True Legend did a nice job here. Another guy that I really like on this team that I don't know if a lot of people know about him is Yeep 93. He's a forward. He'll play every forward position for you. He went for a $5, and I've seen him play in other leagues, and I've seen him play a lot of drop games. He is just phenomenal with puck handling. He finds the net. He passes incredibly well, and I think he could wind up being. I think he's definitely a top 10 scorer. He might be higher than that. And that's kind of why I like Tampa Bay, because I think they've got a lot of interesting talent, and some of it not overly expensive. The only drawback I see with this team is the fact that they have a lot of players who have refusal of playing positions, and a lot of it is for defensive purposes too. So they may be handcuffed a little bit if they have any issues with having a defenseman play any given night. And so I wonder how they're going to cover that in the end. But I find Tampa Bay did a pretty good job, and maybe not a lot of notoriety for them, but they could be a very interesting team to watch this season. Let me get some play out of Jake to see what he thinks about what he saw in the draft, and who he thinks might be another interesting team to look at.
Tampa could be very dangerous, like when you're talking about if they put like Yeep, Red Flag, and True Legend as a top line, they're going to be lethal. But like looking, one team that has really captured my attention, it's definitely got to be Arizona, and what Shred has done there. Like you got a big top two of Trem J, as they want to be called, of him and MJ. Then you got goalie man, backstop. You throw Hardy Sauce in the wing there. You've also got one-timer in there and smash and grab. If Smash and Grab plays forward, he'll be all right. But if he plays D, that's going to be solid. And then there's a guy on there who's going to be a wild card. Like he doesn't have, he has all the positions refused except for goaltender. But single G6, that guy is a monster in other leagues. And I think if he continues his success that he's had in other leagues with this team, then Arizona are going to be a big one to watch coming out of the West. They've got incredible depth too, like having gripping and being able to have a killer as well.
They haven't left themselves a lot of available cap. Is that a problem? Do you see that at all as being a problem for them?
Well,
I say no.
with the type of players that they've drafted, no, because they have tap that pass and smash and grab. Like smash and grab is listed as a left winger, but he can easily play left D to tap that pass as well. One time I can play D as well. So they've got 3 solid defensemen there, and then you got a good forward core. Yeah, Tread can play D as well. Tread can play anywhere. He's fantastic. But having that solid forward core, solid defense, and like there is refusals from certain players,
right,
but it's not going to be enough where it puts them in a tight spot and they won't be able to function well.
The one thing I'm seeing here is they have that Killer J dude.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really know him, but if he's right wing, then how much is Grip gonna play? Because that Grip MJ and Tread line up front, that's deadly.
Would they not put Hardy sauce out there though?
Hardy, it's hard. How much is Hardy gonna play with Tread? Or
like, that Killer J, he's going to be probably playing defense for them. He kept wanting to do that during the rookie showcase as well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him play D for them.
Okay. That makes
he
sense.
might be one of those guys that's like another great utility player like Ransom. I'd see a lot of utility players on this team, to be honest, so it's going to work out very well for them. They don't need the extra cap space.
And let me get Reap in here again. Any of these teams? I mean, obviously, if you want to talk about anybody we've talked about so far, that's fine. But anybody else that you think has done an interesting job in the draft?
I think all teams have done really well. The team that I'm very interested to see, and I think they could do well if things work out, is Calgary. Having Sega, Redbeard, and Jamie Benn on a line together with Pooler and Uber at defense. I think goaltending will be the only thing that I question mark. But other than that, that could be a starting line that could do some damage. Jamie Benn and Sega play together all the time, and adding Redbeard into the mix. If they get that chem going, they're going to be a threat. And I think Calgary is a team to keep an eye on for sure.
Is Sagan not going to play net much? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, he's going to be playing left wing for them.
Left wing 100%.
Yeah, I know Uber sent him a message before the draft and told him, like, listen, I'm not going to pick you up as goalie if I have an opportunity to. And I don't think a lot of people would have, just because Sagan's known for his forward. Like, he's a forward. And he plays some D here, but he's a very strong forward. And I guess he contacted Pliskin and said, listen, I don't want to refuse anything. So he still signed up as a goalie, but didn't refuse anything, and he'll be playing left wing for the majority, pretty much probably the whole season for them.
You don't get Jamie Benn and then pick up Tyler to be goalie, though.
And then get Redbeard, yeah. So those three will be their scoring line for sure.
Jake,
looking at it right now, they got Sagan at left wing for 4 games, and then the other 5 games they have him at defense.
Yeah, they're going to try him out. Yeah, Uber's going to try him out at defense because he did play defense for us 2 seasons ago against when we played. I think it was the Sharks, and he did all right. Like he played pretty decent right D. I think they're just going to test him out to see how it goes. But I think he's going to be left wing for them all season.
They have 3 left wings though. They got Halak, Ages, and how would you say that, Bruck? I don't know how you... Brew.
Right. It's Brew QC. He has QC in his name, so he's going to be very good.
Do they play any other positions or have anything refused?
Just the one. The one has goalie refused.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure they'll be mixed matching.
But that's 4 left wings basically because you got Tyler there at left wing. Ages I know can play center. I had him in BG. Hey, he's a solid center.
We've seen teams in the past with no goalies, but all of a sudden they had a standout goalie. So,
right. Jake, these guys. I think you play enough, and you know the players in this league. But how confusing do you think that is for a new GM who may not know, what Tyler wants to do or what Tyler typically does? Do you think that's a detriment to a GM who doesn't know the players as well?
To an extent, yes, and to an extent, no. It's not a detriment if you're not afraid to ask. Mm-hmm. Like reaching out and talking to these guys and just saying, hey, I know you're listed for this, and I know you have this refused. Do you play these other positions? It's like when we were kind of scouting who we wanted for the draft, Monaco talked to Trout, and he's like, okay, right wing's your preferred position, but you also play D? He's like, yeah, I play a little bit of D, but like I prefer the right wing. So you have these options of people, like, and just reaching out and talking to them and understanding what their situation is and what they want. That's all a rookie GM needs to do.
Yeah, sometimes you won't always get the full answer from them, but that is the best thing to do, because then at least you have an idea going into that draft.
Also, like, the main thing is don't be afraid to ask. Like, I mean, at worst, you can say no.
Ask other, and if you're, it's the same thing as if you're a rookie GM. Ask other vet GMs questions about players, and they'll be more than happy to help you.
Plus, you have a chance to, in your busy schedule, to look over these teams and get a feel for what for a specific team that you did something interesting in the draft.
Well, I agree with most of what you guys are saying. So I won't touch on the same teams. I did like Winnipeg's chances. They got a good back end core. Yeah. Sorry, Reed, I don't mean to catch you off guard here.
Okay.
But
right.
But no, his goaltending is excellent.
Sure.
He's got some good veteran defensemen. Doug, Mike, those two are solid. Ways is a great second line defenseman. And Kid and Reaper together constantly every season. You always see them up in the top 5 goal scorers. I'm not sure you guys are planning on going with starting third front guy, but I can see you guys doing very well. Sam? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Sam's going to be our center this season with Magnum.
I was saying, he has that Magnum guy who definitely stood out in the
yes, Magnum
rookies.
was phenomenal in the rookies. He was very versatile. So you have another defenseman there. I don't think he plays goalie though, or maybe he did. There was something he didn't.
He nothing.
No, he didn't refuse anything.
He didn't refuse anything, but there was. I asked him in the showcase what he wanted to play, and he said he listed a bunch of positions he could play, and one that he was terrible at. He didn't refuse it, but I can't remember which one it was that he felt he was bad at. I want to say goalie, but I could be mistaken.
Him and Sam will be alternating. I think Sam will get a majority of the games just for right now, just because I want to see. But yeah, Sam will be our starting center as of right now.
Well, that's an excellent starting 6 right there. Easily.
Who's your left wing then? Is that gonna be you or?
That's me. Yeah, I'm starting left, and Kid's going back to his original position when he first started playing hockey, which was right wing.
I was gonna say, because I know you started playing left side, so I didn't know if that was gonna be your plan to go to it this season or not.
Yes, sir. Left wing. I'm left wing. Kid's right wing.
Well, and to tell you what, Reep, to get the Magnum at the price you got him at, and if what Pliskin says is true, I mean, that really does say a lot about what the Rookie Showcase can do for a team.
Oh, at Magnum, I know from other leagues, he's okay. A very good player, and that's why I was shocked he didn't go. When I had the opportunity to be able to pick him up, I was like, I guess people just don't know what this guy is capable of, because he can put up points, and he's a very defensive center. I've played with him in other leagues, and he back checks. He sits where a center needs to be, and he's good at moving the puck. And we played with him the other night, me and Sam jumped up on right wing because Kid was away this weekend. And he reads the ice really well, and he knows to find those guys that are open, and he can also dangle the puck too and put it in the goalie. So I mean, I can't be happier with him. Like I said, I was shocked that he fell on my lap.
Yeah, he was on our list for sure.
Hey, Kozmo, one of the things you put, you talked about earlier this week, and you put that question out to us, was the idea that it seemed like some of the more talented guys were picked kind of late, and you were wondering why that may be the case. Did you? You've had time to think about it. Do you think there's any reason why some of these guys were picked so late?
The only thing I could ever come up with that made more sense was cap. Going through and looking at what teams had going into the draft and what they got now and what their teams look like. I think it had to be a cap issue. Everybody wanted to start with the lower talent, or the cheaper guys, I should say, not necessarily lower talent, because a lot of teams obviously have a lot of rookies who have a lot of talent. Magnum, for example. So I think it's like MJ was $9.5 million, and he went kind of late, or later than I expected. But
I know MJ's availability was an issue for a lot of GMs too. That's why.
Yeah, and MG was another guy who went really late, and he's
Right.
he's a skilled right winger, and it surprised me. Even during the draft, I was like, "How are these guys going so late?" I think I mentioned that to you, and then he went shortly after that during the draft.
Well, I found it kind of interesting to see Booch go in the 5th round. I thought he played really well in the playoffs, and 5.5 is not cheap, but it's not 8 or 9. And so I was kind of surprised that it took Anaheim early in the 5th to pick him up, and I guess that's what you're saying. Maybe for some guys, maybe somebody fell to them and they picked them up, and it might have changed their plans. I mean, I think you might be right about that.
I think Bush is a different kind of cat. He's a great player, but he's a silent great player. He doesn't stand out. He doesn't, you know what I mean? He's not vocal. You don't see him in the chats, so people don't notice him on the board until like, oh, I can grab Bush at like round 8. But he's easily a 2nd or 3rd rounder for sure. But yeah, he's just that kind of guy that he has the talent. You don't catch his name on the board right away.
I think you're right with that one. He's the kind of guy, like, we didn't even see him because, like, he wasn't one of our guys that we said, oh, hey, go watch this, make sure you stick to this guy. In our team chat at all there, Jake, it was more of a watch Too Slick and then Woy. Like, those were the 2 guys that we pointed out right away to watch. And then Booch is the one who ends up hurting us the most. So
yeah, we didn't give a fuck about him, and he hurt us the most. He put up two goals in that first game, and then the 2 goals in the first night. Then games 1 or 3, and then he ended up putting us away. So he's a very dangerous player.
Yeah, he's a silent killer, man. He's just, you don't know he's there, and then it's too late.
I'll never forgive him.
Hey, Jake, you had a couple of questions I think you wanted to pose to the group as well.
Oh, yeah, here, hold on. Let me go and review. I think I had one very important one that I wanted to talk about. Hold on.
Briefs.
So I noticed that Kozmo always picks on Plisk.
Yeah, what the
fuck? I thought, you know what? That wasn't very nice. Hold on, I'm trying to find the document right now. But I do know that I think my main point was that Kozmo's a bitch.
Your check's in the mail. Your check's in the mail, Dirty.
That's more of an observation than it is a question, and I'm not going to deny or agree right now on that. But
then let's refine it a little bit. Why is Kozmo a bitch?
You'll learn to pick on Pliskin over the years there, Jake. That's all I'm going to say. You'll learn.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't feed me. He takes food away. He's constantly taking things away from me.
You had a couple more serious questions, Jake. You want to elaborate on those?
I know I'm trying to find the document, but I'm technologically inept.
You were asking about predictions for Art Ross and for the Norse.
Oh yes. Predictions for those. There's a lot of hype. How the fuck is Kozmo gonna win any awards? I don't know how that'll happen. You have to play a couple games to win awards.
No, I don't. I could literally play 0 games and still win an award.
Well, yeah, the Jack Adams Award. That's right. Now that's going to
Do we give out participation ribbons in this league? I didn't think we did that.
It's good. We'll put in like a bowl of Cheerios for him.
So okay, Jake. So you asked the question. So for
the prediction for the Art Ross Trophy, because there's a lot of returning players who can definitely stake a claim for it as well. I won't even add let's look at the Hart Trophy. Like who do we think might be most valuable to their team? MJ won the Art Ross last season, but he doesn't have the firepower that he had on that Dallas team on this Arizona team. Obviously Fred, Harvey.
I think he has the power to do it on that team. I think that team has the firepower. It's the question of if they can keep the puck out of their own zone long enough to do it, though. Like, who's going to be playing the defense? And if it's Smash, is he going to be that elite lefty he used to be?
Well, yeah, they have a big asterisk next to that point. But, say, if you look at some of the talent in the rest of the league, let's look at how good of a season True Legend and Red Flag had last year. They had their very dynamic duo over there in Tampa Bay, and they haven't split that up. They still have those 2 cornerstones. Those guys have been playing together for seasons now. I think, what, 3-4 seasons? I don't think, since I've been in this league, I don't think I've seen them on separate teams, and they've always put up good numbers. And then you look at Ottawa, looking at the season that Mark had last year. Having Mark and TSlick on the same line for the majority of the season, those guys each had the potential to put up over 100 points.
Didn't Mark do it alone? Last season?
He didn't do it alone.
Okay, didn't he do it last season? In half the season, or more than half the season, he played on a weaker Edmonton team where he didn't have the power. Like
he's the only guy scoring
talent.
Goals in that team.
Yeah, he started off well, but then he kind of slumbered a little bit in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he has like more firepower this season, so I could see him easily putting up a 130-point season. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say it now. My Art Ross pick for this season is Gomark of the Ottawa Senators.
I support that. I was going to say the same.
See? Great minds think alike. Reap, you joining the team too? Joining the Mark bandwagon?
No. What's your take on that, Reap?
That's a hard one because there's so many good players.
Right.
Kid money.
No. Hey, I love Kid. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If he has a season like we did when we were in Philly, if everything starts clicking the right way, then absolutely. But shit.
Kid's availability will become an issue this summer, though, isn't it? It gets difficult.
No, he should be good 9 for 9. So I don't know, like that. It's really hard to say who it's going to be because there's so many good teams and well-rounded teams. It's very hard to say. Well, yeah, Gomark, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, and he's going to be playing with good players. But how's the chem with those guys? Are they going to pass, or is it going to be all about I want to score? Well, one slick wants to score, or this person wants to score. You know what I mean? So it's hard because Two Slick, he's a scorer. Gomark, he's a scorer.
Right.
So it's kind of I don't know how I don't know. I'm up in the air about that because I don't know. Like I said, there's too many well-rounded teams that who knows who's going to take it.
That's a really good point. I think there are so many people. If you're really pushing me to pick somebody, I would say TSlick. I just think that there's so much on that team. He's just an incredibly talented player. We saw what he could do in the playoffs. If I'm pressed, I would say I would pick him. I think he at least is in the top 5. But yeah, there's so much offense and so many good options there. Let's head over to the Norris and on defense. Again, my experience with season 28 was limited, but man, again, when I watched the finals and I watched Sadim Power, I really enjoyed watching him play. I thought he was tremendous. I thought Ransom was tremendous as well. Again, the guy could play anywhere, but plays defense incredibly well. I look at those two right away on defense, but you guys may have some other thoughts on that. We'll start with Jake on it.
All right, I'm going to be a little biased here.
Mm-hmm.
No, what?
It's not Ajax.
It could very well be. As he had a limited season last year. And on a Pittsburgh team that was very much defensive-minded, he didn't have that good of an area to shine. If he ends up playing the majority of this season, if he goes 30, 35 games, I think he could put up enough numbers to be, or enough points, put up enough assists. He'll have a good hit total. He'll have a good giveaway to takeaway ratio. He could put up enough numbers to be in the conversation for the Norris Trophy. And hell, if he busts ass during the playoffs, he might even win it.
You know who's going to win it, though? It's going to be Smash or Doug. It's going to be one of those two.
Wow. Smash is an interesting one. I know everyone's been, talking about him, how well he's been playing of late. I think his game has gotten incredibly better in 18. I thought he was, I like the guy a lot. I thought he was middle of the road in 17, but he seems to have benefited somehow from this crappy game and has played incredibly well of late. I think he's done well with this release, and he seems to be somebody that a lot of people were talking about before the draft. And, again, going for 5 to the Coyotes and really shoring up a defense over there. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I think it could be very interesting.
Yeah, Doug's always in the running for it. Like, he's always near the top of defensive points, but he's always, as of recently, been he hasn't been talked about because there's another D-man out there who's putting up so many points that it's just like, you don't see that guy. But Doug, I think, is gonna be one of the ones up there. It's gonna be one of those two. I can't tell you which one, but I'm gonna go on. If I have to pick one, like absolutely have to pick one,
right?
I'm gonna go with Doug because he has the chemistry with Reap, Kid, and Mike already. So, and I mean, they can trust Bezzy where it won't hurt them so much. Where Doug could pinch a little bit more than normal. So, I think that's gonna be your Norris winner there.
Philly's MVP is going to be pissed at me if I don't mention him, one of my teammates and a guy that I know pretty well, playing this season, and he is very good. He's very good offensively too as a defenseman, so it'll be fun to see what he does in the league this season. Plis, did you have any thoughts on Norris potentials?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page as you guys. Doug, he's our general runner-up. He's a league runner-up usually for Norris. Could it be his year this time? I don't know. I think as long as Sedin's playing, he has a better shot than Doug does. Sedin's tried and true and tested, and he's always seems to manage to get up there. Who knows? Maybe Doug's season this time. Maybe this is the one he takes. But for now, I'm still looking at Sedin as my go-to.
Hey guys, we're going to wrap it up here in final couple of minutes as we get done with the first show of the season. We'll be back. Just letting everyone know, we'll be back every week on Saturdays. This week was a special week. We had to do the show on Sunday this week, but typically we'll be here every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, with the show, with this group, or most of this group, at least every week.
Can I pick a stand-in for me this Saturday? Can I name my replacement?
No.
Oh, okay.
You can ask me offline. I might let you have it.
All right.
We'll see.
By the way, it's Monaco.
You don't get to pick your stand-ins. If we got 3 other guys besides you, we don't need you.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks.
I'm sure the rest of the guys would agree to that.
I won't because he's helped me pick on Koz today, so I'm on DD's side today.
Okay, I got you.
Generally speaking,
I'm not a DD fan today, so I'm gonna have to say you can't pick your guy.
Say something. Figure it out, Kozmo.
Yeah, Koz. What the fuck?
I don't figure things out. Sibs knows that.
Hey, final thoughts on this week 1 starting tomorrow night. It just seems, just very basically from the draft, from what guys have done, it really feels like there is not going to necessarily be a runaway team. How do you guys feel about that? Yes or no? Do you think there's going to be 1 or 2 teams running away, or is this going to be a tight race all the way through? Let's start with Reap on that.
I say a tight race. I think it's going to be close. I think that, like I said, there's a lot of teams with a lot of good talent, and I think I think it's going to be tight for the most part. And maybe 1 or 2 that might not be up there, but I think for the most part it's going to be tight.
Koz?
I think it's going to be you're going to have those probably top 3 runaways because the season's longer. I think that's going to start to take a toll on people. They're gonna and availability is gonna become an issue. So I think the teams with the better availability who can stick through it all through 7 weeks will be the runaway teams. It's gonna be I think who can last the longest through all those weeks. So
Pliskin?
It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight the whole way. Well, actually, I think he's right. It's probably gonna be tight for the first 4.5 weeks, and then you might see some daylight spreading. But with the way the divisions are set, it's going to be anyone's game throughout the entire season. I think, as long as they still show up and they still fight,
right,
they're going to have a shot.
And Jake, I'll let you get the last word on this.
Anaheim, Detroit, and Philadelphia are going to beat the fuck out of everybody else in the league and run away with this thing.
Okay.
No, it's going to be a very tight race through and through. A lot of teams are very balanced as well. Like there's like 1 or 2 standout teams I can think of, like Ottawa and Arizona, but every team is balanced, and I think every team has a legitimate chance to make it to the Cup.
All right, gentlemen. Well, listen, thanks for joining me tonight. Had a lot of fun doing this. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Good night, everybody. Kozmo's a bitch.
Nice. You've been watching Off the Ice here on the Sony PlayStation Hockey League, the SPNHL.com. TSibs for Dirty Dietrich, Kozmo, Reap, and Pliskin saying so long. We will talk to you next Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern for our show.